Well, in 1946, I got called out for Saturday night guard duty. And you have a gun, and you have it, and have to know what to do with it, and you get special orders. And I was taken in a car. There were several. Whenever you went on guard duty over there, you normally went in a big truck in the back end, like you see German soldiers would be there with their guns. That's the way we were. And it was raining, so you had to have a raincoat on. But I was taken, I don't know where it was, way out someplace, and there was just a building and a real dim light up above. And about all I knew to do. They said, guard this. And so I stood underneath that light most of the time. Otherwise, it was just solid dark. And I stood there, and like I said, it was Saturday night. And you ever heard that song, Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week? Well, that's a time when you start thinking about home and being in a warm place and the good food to eat. And I just, oh, that was a sad night. Well, I stayed out there probably about maybe 4 hours, and they came and got me. And didn't say any reason why they came and got me. And of course, you had to keep your gun underneath your raincoat to keep it dry. And they never gave me any what you call special orders. You have 10 orders that you memorize, and when you're on guard duty, they might say, please repeat order number 7. And I can't repeat them anymore. I was with someone the other day, and they could rattle most of them off for me. But anyway, you know, it was Kevin. And so that was a terrible, lonely time. Well, another time, I was assigned to headquarters, which was a big Japanese building. And it had wooden steps coming up, and it was probably about a half a block long. And the way you got in, you came up these steps and the doors there. Then there was a big, long flight of stairs going up. And when you came in, it was a big open hallway, and then there was rooms down this way and rooms this way. And my orders were given to guard this building, and I was to stay there and check people in the morning, have them sign in. And so I was to walk around and go upstairs and things. And I tell you, down the hallway in about 3 different rooms was soldiers that were, I think they were what you call G3. And the other day on the TV they were talking about G1. And these are just kind of a secret groups of people, and they worked with radio and secret messages in there. And so I was guarding them, and some would come and go and everything. Well, then I'd go upstairs, and that upstairs creaked, and it was dark, and there was no lights. And I didn't know where to turn them on at, and so I had to walk down there and come down the other side and come back. I think I did it twice, and it was just too scary to go up there anymore. And you'd be standing down there, and you'd hear the boards squeaking up there. You didn't know whether someone was up there or not. I don't think there was. But then about 7 in the morning, people started arriving. And I had a pad there. I was supposed to make everybody sign their name in. They started coming so quick, I'd say, sign your name. Well, they just went right on without paying any attention to you. So I just quit trying. So I stood there, and finally they came to get me. Now, once during the night, a lieutenant or captain, he'd be head of the guard, and a sergeant came, and I was a corporal. And he came, and I was standing at the bottom of the steps. They didn't have to look for me. And they asked me some questions. And they said, now what is your duty here? They didn't seem to know. And I said, well, there's the upstairs and there's down here. And I told them that every so often I made a trip up and around and came back here. And I said I'm to check everybody that comes in. There's about three main things. I can't think what the other one was. But making the rounds and everything. Later, the next day when we got back to the it would be the guardhouse when they assigned you out, back at the guardhouse. And this sergeant, he never seen me, and I don't know if he would have even recognized me. But here's what he said. He said, that corporal at the main offices over there, he was something. He knew what he was to do, and he was doing it. And it was really, he didn't know me or recognize me standing about from me to you, and he was talking out loud, telling some other soldiers about this. So that was a pretty good commendation. But I was a corporal then. He used the word corporal. So that was a pretty good story.
Is that your final rank then?
Yes, I didn't make sergeant. One time, where I worked was auto parts, but we also had, and I pointed out in that Memphis bill, I said, see those guns there? Those are 50 caliber machine gun barrels. We had stacks of them for airplanes. They also would fit anything that took a 50 caliber barrel. They're universal, and they screwed in. And we got an order, not for them, but we got an order for some rifles that we had that were in boxes, and the cosmoline, that's the preservative on them. We had nothing to clean them with. We had to just find whatever we could with rags and do it. And I was complaining about it to the other guys, and this warrant officer walked in, and he heard me complaining. And the other guys were put in for sergeant, and I wasn't, and I didn't make it, and I didn't get it. If I'd have made it, I would have extended my enlistment for another 6 months and stayed over there, and I wouldn't have got home to about middle of January or February. But that cooled me. I wanted to get home anyway. I was getting homesick, so I didn't extend my enlistment. But I knew that was why he never put me in for a sergeant. And I'd only, let's see, I would have been, I had my 19th birthday over there. I would have been 19 then. So that's what happened there. And he made a chief warrant officer, and that gives you privilege. My understanding, they don't have that rank anymore. That's the highest you can go. You can be a sergeant major, which is a top rank too. But the chief warrant officer can go into the officers' lounge and stuff. He's associated with them. But the sergeant majors, I don't think can. They have a 3 stripes above and 3 below. Then they have a diamond in the middle, and then whatever group they're with, if it's the infantry, whatever, they'll have a designation for that. But the sergeant major is a good rank to work up to and get eventually. A lot of responsibility, and they have a lot of authority on that. So that's the end of my stories tonight.
Okay.
There's other adventures, but I'll save them for another stormy night. Did it get foggy out?
No.